This is the plaintiff, Kalila McElroy. She says her landlord sold the building she was living in, and when she left, she asked the new owner, the defendant, to return her security. The defendant's coming up with every excuse in the book not to pay her what he owes, and that's not fair. She left the place in pristine condition. The defendant doesn't have a leg to stand on, and she's suing the louse for the $1,800 she's owed. This is the defendant, Neil Patel. He says the building he bought was in foreclosure, and the landlord didn't turn over any money to him when the deal was complete. He didn't give the plaintiff back her security when she moved out because there was no security to give. Unfortunately, the plaintiff needs to go after her former landlord because he's the one who took off with her loot. He's accused of not having any money. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $2,000 for garbage removal and rent.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket. The plaintiff lived in an apartment building. The owner sold the building, and the new owner won't give her security back. But the defendant says the old landlord never gave him the plaintiff's security, so she should go after him. It's the case of you make me feel insecure.
Kalia McElroy,
Yeah.
You are suing 180-180 21st Street LLC, represented here by Neil Patel. You are what to that corporation?
I'm the attorney and also a managing member of 180.
Okay. And you have authority by the owners to be here?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You're suing them for $1,800, a security deposit that you paid when you first moved into the building and that you were not paid when you left the building. You have a counterclaim against her for $2,000, $800 for garbage disposal, and $1,200 for April rent. Okay, let me talk to you first. What's going on?
All right. I moved in the building on January the 7th, 2012. Now, prior to that, I was still residing in the building. They took over the property. So I had to, because I have assistants, so they had to, notify them of the owner who had the owner. They told me that I didn't have any security money.
Who said that?
Neil Patel office.
Okay, hold on one second. How long have you been living in that building?
A year.
Okay, but you said prior to that I was living in that building, so I'm not
I
understanding.
apologize.
Okay.
Prior to them taking over the property.
You were already there?
Yes.
Okay, when did you folks take over the property?
We took over in July, Your Honor.
Of what year?
2012.
Okay, so you have been living in the building since January 7th of 2012.
Yes.
They take over the building, and when you take over, you bought it because it was being foreclosed upon.
No, Your Honor, it was a deed in lieu of foreclosure. So
I don't know what that means.
Basically, the deed was transferred to us because they didn't want to be foreclosed on. They didn't want
but who'd
to
you buy it from?
We didn't buy it. The deed was already a mortgage property. So because the mortgage.
Yeah, are you a bank?
Yeah.
So you are the financiers for the person who bought it.
Yeah.
In 2010.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you now are
The new owners, we were essentially at that point.
But why were you the new owners?
Because the deed was given over to us, handed over to us.
And then while you are the new owners and have a deed, the guy who you are letting run the place takes a security deposit from her.
We didn't get, the security deposit was never transferred to us. And second, when we spoke to the old landlord informed us that she had already used it up in backhold rent, which she didn't owe.
You'll have to prove that because she denies that. And if you were a Section 8 client, so Section 8 was paying her rent. So
they were paying portions of it. They weren't paying a full rent.
Right. Okay. But I need you to do more than flap your gums, counselor. I need you to prove what you're saying.
Okay. I have here the fact that she signed a document which shows she had $0 security, and she didn't sign this once. She signed this twice.
Okay. Let me see that. Do you deny that you signed this?
No, I did sign it because
hold on one second. And it says, for the benefit of all parties here too, we fully and completely rescind forever the lease which was executed between the parties, and that a refund to the tenant of the tenant's security deposit will be made by landlord owner within 30 days of the date the tenant vacates said premises. The refund shall be in the amount of $0.
Yes.
Plus interest on deposit. Okay, that would seem to indicate you might have lived out your security, and so you didn't really think you had an entitlement to it.
That's not true.
And there are 2 times that you signed that, in December and in February when you left. Why is there another one in February?
So she signed one in December saying she was going to leave in January, but then she changed her mind. She overstayed, and then she said, "I'm leaving. I need another one executed." So
wait, you needed another. Why did you need another one executed? Oh, because it says the dates that you're going to leave.
Yeah,
They were still getting paid. Your
Okay,
Honor.
but I don't know. We're not talking about rent. We'll talk about rent in a second. Twice you signed something that said you're owed 0 security deposit. So did you live out your security deposit?
I sure didn't, ma'am.
So then why did you sign something not once but twice that says you're entitled to 0 refund from the security deposit?
Because with Section 8 guidelines, that's what I have to do. I had to notify them and let them know that I was
This has
moving.
nothing to do with Section 8. This is between you and them. Documents you keep signing for them. That you could let them know you're leaving on such and such a date and comply with Section 8 and put here, I'm owed $1,800 over here.
Yes, but Your Honor, when I first signed it, it didn't have a 0 because my Section 8 worker can agree with
Well,
me.
then why wouldn't it have an 1,800?
Maybe he did that after the fact because I still
It doesn't
have-
look tampered with. I'm pretty good at figuring out things that are tampered with, but why don't you just show me your copy that says 1,800? That's how people do that.
Not a problem.
Okay, do Section 8 tenants try to get over on landlords and do more damage than people who pay full rent?
I think that sometimes the more people are given for free, the more they're going to want to take. So absolutely.
What do you think, sir?
I think it just depends on the circumstances of the tenants.
So you won't give me an answer, will you? What do you think? Yes or no? Yes or no?
There is.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
I don't have a.
Going inside the courtroom.
You have 2 of these where you said 1,800?
Oh, no, I have my
No,
original
no, no,
receipt
no. That's
and
not
my
what
lease.
I'm talking about.
Yeah, I don't have original.
All right, now you have a counterclaim against her for April rent. Why?
So she claims she moved out March 31st. She didn't give us the keys back until we chased it down to April 10. So because we still didn't have possession, April's rent was owed. Housing authority.
I don't understand. Why didn't you just give them the keys? Why wasn't there a walkthrough? Why wasn't something?
Thank you.
We're not
No,
contacted.
not thank you. Why didn't you arrange it so that? Why
Because
didn't everybody arrange it?
we
Not
were-
just him.
Yeah.
You
Right,
too.
they knew that I was moving out on the 31st. I called them. Neil been in court for like 2 days prior to me moving. The Friday
With
before,
each other?
No, I had called the law office to let him know that I was moving out on the 31st.
So you know where his law office is. Why don't you just
No,
drop the
I
keys
have
up
the
there?
number. It's in New York. I don't know
Oh.
exactly where it's at. It's
Okay.
located in New York. So
how did you get it to them on April 10th?
they came to my new apartment and picked it up from me.
We had to chase her down to get the keys
Or you
back.
could have gone to a locksmith.
But Your Honor, we didn't know before.
Well, the locksmith would be less than $1,200, right?
But she had told us prior that she was moving out and she didn't, so we weren't sure.
Or you could knock on the door, see if she's out, and talk to her and find out that she's out because you figured out that she was out sometime before April 10th if you actually drove on April 10th to her place.
Yes, this is.
Do you have any correspondence, texts, or phone messages or anything between you two, between March 31st and April, whatever?
No, because I lost my phone prior
Did you
to
end
that.
up getting April rent from Section 8?
Yes, Your Honor. So what happened
So then
was,
why are you suing her for April rent?
because I've got an email here from Housing Authority. They're going to be bringing suit against us and they want their money returned.
But did you explain to them that you didn't get the keys?
Yeah, we
Okay.
explained. They said that because
So that's probably not going to happen. What's the $800 for garbage disposal?
the $800 for garbage disposal was basically mess she left. She trashed the
Okay,
place.
I need pictures. Do you have pictures?
I do not. I have an affidavit from the owner to state that when they left, the place was trashed and there was
Okay,
a garbage
no,
in
that's not how it works. The way you prove that is you take, as you know, is you take pictures, right?
yeah.
How many years have you been practicing law?
2 years, Your Honor.
And where'd you go to law school?
Hofstra.
You're very good. All right. First of all, on your security deposit,
Yes.
there are two problems that you have. One of them is that they have a very good argument that they are lien holders and there's laws that protect them. If they didn't get security deposits, they don't have to pay security deposits. In your case, I don't even have to get to that complicated law because I've got two places where you swear you're not owed a security deposit. And there's a consequence to that. And then you look at me and say, well, he probably forged it. But you don't have evidence of that. And you don't have a
You're right.
single form where that didn't say that, where it said 1,800 is what you're due. You don't have anything that says
I have my original receipt.
that. You're not
That's it.
listening. His premise is that it was eaten up in rent that you didn't pay or that the other guy didn't get paid. That it was eaten up because the truth of the matter is your lease has, she's supposed to be paying what?
$1,200.
It's always $1,200, and Section 8 was always paying it?
Yes.
No, they weren't paying the full amount. Always.
They weren't paying the full amount before, but then they started to pay the full amount.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so that's your claim against them, 0. Now, on your counterclaim against her, as for the garbage disposal, we've been over that, 0. And as for April rent, that's a little trickier. However, it looks to me like really neither side made much of an effort to pick up any keys at all. And if you're busy in court, I don't expect you to be the guy fetching keys, but I expect some plan to be in place. And if you want to pin it on her, I want to hear that you had a plan, the plan was in place, and the plan wasn't respected. None of that happens. I'm not going to pin that on her because neither side bothered to be in a big fat rush about it. So on your claim against them, 0 for the reasons I've reviewed. And on your claim against her, 0 as well. Good luck, folks.
Thank you.
0 and 0, nothing on the plaintiff's side as you come out of here empty-handed. What's your comment on this case? How okay?
We just got to watch out for these slumlords that's going on in New Jersey.
Is that what's happening?
Yes.
Is that what we just witnessed here?
Yes.
In your opinion? Well, you did sign all those documents and everything that indicated you weren't entitled to that money.
Yeah, I did.
All right, then. Head right around the corner this way. All right, come on in here. Satisfied how this comes out?
Yeah, I'm satisfied. I mean, I would ideally have liked to keep the $1,200 for the rent as well, but we take a loss on some of these tenants. They're not good tenants, some of them. So
the judge said you did a pretty good job in there, counselor.
Thank you very much.
Hearing that from the
judge? It felt great. I got to, say hello to all my friends in London and TJB Law.
This is not shout out time. I'm just asking you if you appreciated the compliment you got. You may have just lost it. Harvey?
If this happens to you, protect yourself. Send an email to the old landlord and the new one saying they have your security.